Yeah, you're not rocking with the best. It's been a long time coming that a change gonna come. Yeah, all they gotta do is follow me, man. It's been a long time coming that a change gonna come. Yeah. Know why? To the ghettos, I'm like Barack Obama. Been in and out just like a robbery. Gotta watch old summer. Been happening in Dallas, so we ride like ghost hunters. Run numbers like Bumpy Johnson, so the kids won't go hungry. It's lonely out in the streets. Mr. Wind or the junkie. The wind may blow me away tonight, without a bomber to comfort me. Won't say that I chose this life. This is the life that confronts me. Still, I'll be damned if I let them punk me. See these guns, you don't want these. I lost everything but my passion to flow. When it came back, I ain't respect it like I did before. I tried and died, so now you know. The doper that I get, the more I'm feeling broke as shit. More money mean more problems than this. Now who wants to be rich? Can I get a show of hands and show of fans? A concert I can attend like Tony. Feel like I'm still a man, if you would just call my name like Mike, I swear I'd be there with a blunt in the mic to celebrate life. It's been a long time coming that a change gonna come. Yeah, it's music right here. It's been a long time coming.
Power, you know that's my thing, and you'll hear this a lot. No matter where you come from or where you grew up at, what city you in, you'll always hear, especially if you come from the blocks, the type of blocks that I come from, you'll hear people saying, "I want my respect," or "I demand my respect." Well, let's look at that word. What does the word respect really mean? I love etymology. I love the history of words. Where did the word come from? Because it gives you the human being. One thing we got to understand is the human being is a thinking creature. The human being conceptualizes. It what makes us the most powerful animal on the planet, the fact that we can think. So when we can look at a word and we can actually see, and let me say this, let me explain this before I get ahead of myself. Words are nothing more than symbols. That's what they are. Words are symbols for ideas. Matter of fact, we think in ideas. We think symbolically. So when you look at a word, the ideal or the concept that you have in your mind comes to mind for that word, for that symbolic word. When you have a deeper meaning of what a word is, then that deeper concept is gonna come to mind. Give you an example. If you read the word woman on a sheet of paper, if you see that word, automatically your ideal of what a woman is going to come to mind. And see, the woman that comes to your mind may be different than the woman that comes to my mind, because a lot of time the attributes of a woman that we have been socialized to understand is what's going to come to mind. And that's why I think it's so important to understand that the deeper meaning of these words, like respect. Respect is two words, compound word. It's re and expect. The word re literally means to go back. And you can see it all. You can see it anywhere. Rewind or repeat or redo. We can constantly see that the word re means to go back. And the word spect come from the Latin word spicere, which literally means to look at. So spicere or spec means to see or to look at. Like, for instance, if you have some glasses, they call them spectacles. Or if you are making a fool of yourself, they say that you're making a spectacle of yourself. The root word is spec, something to be looked at. So the word respect literally means to look back. That's what the word literally means. So what are you saying when you say, "I want my respect"? I demand my respect. The word respect literally means that you are something worth looking back at over and over again. Looking back at or looking at consistently. That's what the word respect means. So when we deal with respect, we deal with respect from the point of view of revere. When we say respect, we're saying that someone can look back at you and your constant conduct, your character, your behavior, and it holds reverence. That's what we are literally saying. So the respect is not something you can demand. It's not something that you can make people have for you. Respect then is something that you have to earn based on your conduct. You must give people something worthy of looking back at and respecting or revering. And I said I was going to deal with a few other. That's the main one I want to look at. But let's deal with a few other ones. You'll hear people, especially after they deal with wanting respect, you'll hear people calling themselves things like, I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm a queen. You'll hear these terms. And I'll build on this in other videos, and I'll put a link in the I put a link in the comments for you to look at. I put a link in the title for you to look at. I build on what a king is and what makes a king. See, a king, when we think of king, a word that goes along with king is a ruler. We say that a king is a ruler. So that we associate with being a king is that of a ruler. Why do we say that a king is a ruler? You might automatically say that, oh, because ruler is synonymous with king, because ruler means that you rule over someone. Well, the reason, and I don't have a ruler, but you get the point, I have a tape measure. The reason why a king is called a ruler, because a ruler is a standard of measure. On any ruler, on any tape measure that you get, an inch is going to be an inch, period, point blank, going to be the same exact size. No matter if you get 100 in check, the inch is going to be the same exact size. So a ruler, as long as it's straight, as long as it hasn't been corrupted, is a standard of measure. And a king is a standard of measure for the rules in his society. Hence, the root of the word ruler is rule. And rules are the laws, are the principles that must be abided by. So the king himself must be a standard of measure. He must be a standard of the rules. That's why in ancient Kemet, the ruler, the king, or the pharaoh was said to be the standard of Ma'at itself. And Ma'at is the principle of the rules, the universal laws. And I'm not going to get into that right now. I could do that in a whole nother video. But the king was the standard of Ma'at. So when you call yourself a king, you have to be saying that you are a ruler. You are the standard of measure, that the way you walk, talk, act, the way you behave, the way you move, the way you operate represents the rule of your society. That's what it represents. Now, deeper than that, a king, and I love to say this and I love to make this point when talking about a king or queen, they both synonymous. Both of these points are made in this. When you call yourself a king, you cannot be stupid and be a king, because a king the decision that a king makes affects other people's lives. A king is the sun. And everything in the solar system rotates around the sun, because the sun has the greatest mass, therefore having the greatest level of gravitational pull on everything in the solar system. Everything in the solar system depends on the sun for its stability and for its light. And that's what a king must do. And the only way you can do that, the only way you can produce mass for yourself, is to have knowledge. See, and that's one of the main things of a king. If you walked in a room and you ask yourself who is the king, one of the telltale signs that you will automatically look for is a crown, because the crown is symbolic of what's inside the king's head. The crown is usually round. It's usually gold in ancient times, and it usually has points on it. The reason for this is because the crown represented the sun. It's round, it's gold like the sun, and the points represent the crown's rays. And then the sun's rays, and then they start putting jewels on the crown, because we say, like right now, we say I'm dropping a jewel. We say that when you drop a jewel is knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. That's what we say that jewels are. So the king has to have a foundation of knowledge on his head. He has to have this. If you don't have a foundation of knowledge on your head, in order for everything in your solar system, the things that you have immediate control over, to rotate around, then you cannot consider yourself a king. And the same thing goes for a queen. You can't just be running around calling yourself a queen because you're a female. Every female ain't a queen. The queen's crown was usually silver, and it was smaller than the king's crown, and that's because of the queen's crown represented the moon. The moon does not have its own light. The moon is reflecting the light of the sun. So even though you don't see the sun, by seeing the light reflecting from the moon, you know the sun is still there. The sun represents knowledge, while the moon represents wisdom. What is this saying? It's saying that the king or the man is supposed to be the knowledge. And then his knowledge is supposed to radiate off the queen, which is supposed to be the wisdom. The knowledge itself is that first action, but the wisdom itself is the reflection of that action. You don't know what I know. You can't tell if I know anything or if I'm stupid or dumb as a box of rocks. The only way you can tell if I know anything is to hear me speak or to watch me conduct myself. And that's the wisdom manifesting itself, therefore reflecting one's knowledge. And that's what the queen is supposed to do. She's supposed to be a reflection of that knowledge that represents their world, their solar system. She's supposed to be that hidden wisdom, and she's supposed to be able to manifest that in how she behaves herself and conducts herself. And if you cannot do that, you cannot claim that you are a queen. You cannot claim that you are a king. One more word I want to deal with, because I said I was gonna deal with a few words. I was gonna do some word play. We were gonna gain some understanding of the definition. We were gonna G.O.D. is the word God. Now, I've said this before in an old video, in a past video, I said it, that every person's purpose for coming into existence was to manifest God in their character. So you got to ask yourself, what is God? And I'm going to go to one of the principles, and it's not the oldest principle, but I'm going to go to one of the principles. Now, one thing we got to understand is God is the English concept of deity. So God is not the oldest term that the creative energy of the universe was called. There are many of them, and there are many older ones. Since we're in the Western Hemisphere, I'm gonna deal with the Western terms, and so they call them God. But in the Hebrew scripture, there was two names used for God. Two names or two symbols used for God. One was Elohim and one was Yahweh. People like the Greeks mispronounced Yahweh, which was really what they call a tetragrammaton. 4 Hebrew letters, and they mispronounced those 4 Hebrew letters as Jehovah. But the word was then was previous to Jehovah was Yahweh, and that's not even a word. We can go deeper than that. In truth, that symbol was never meant to be uttered. There's actually no way to pronounce that symbol really. That symbol represents something else, and I'm not going to go into that in no deeper detail right now. Here's a great book that'll give a knowledge of that symbolism, but I'm not going to go into that right now. I just want to go into this word. But in Masonry, the 3 attributes was used to describe God. They are considered the 3 pillars of Masonry. Therefore, the 3 pillars that a man must build his godhood, his foundation on. Those 3 pillars are the acronyms used for the word God: Gomar, Oz, and Dubar. Gomar is a Hebrew word that means wisdom. Oz is a Hebrew word that means strength, and Dubar is a Hebrew word that literally means beauty. Andre 3000 said it in the song. I can't remember the name of the song, but in the chorus they say, "I know you think you don't stink, but in reality they really smell like doo-doo." But he said, "Real guys go for real, down, Dubar, girls." And when he said Dubar, what he was talking about was beauty. So these are the 3 attributes of God, or the man that's standing on Godhood: wisdom, strength, and beauty. Gomar, Oz, and Dubar. So when you use the term God, when you say you manifesting God, when you say you standing in the name of God, in the presence of God, you're supposed to be able to radiate wisdom, strength, and beauty. And beauty, in this sense, goes back to the historical meaning of the word itself. Not just, oh, you look good, but beauty represents symmetry. It means that you're symmetrical, that you have balance, that you're upright and on the square, that you're on point. That's what the word literally means. So I just wanted to build on a few words, and I wanted to chop a little knowledge and chop a little game on wordplay and what these words mean. You want respect? Give people something beautiful to look back at. Peace.